Hi, I'm Amy from Fascia-Forward Fitness, and today we'll be doing a whole body workout, but focusing in on control. So control might mean slowing down your movement so that you are focusing in on the movement through its entire range of motion. And that can help you really feel what's going on in your body to enhance your proprioceptive abilities. Also, it can help you feel maybe what you're doing ideally and not so ideally, and give you an opportunity to correct that. The other thing it does is it strips away the momentum and asks you to have strength within the full range of motion of a movement. So you'll notice that as we go through some of the motions, and we'll be getting up and down from the floor. And take your time. You don't have to do things exactly as I do them. I'll give you different suggestions. So let's start our full body workout today with a bridge. So we'll be getting down to the floor. Use assistance if you need it, but do it mindfully as if you were going to be getting up or down in order to do something on the floor. So there's lots of different ways to get up and down, and exploring that and having accessibility to lots of different methods of getting up and down can be very helpful and good for your body. So let's start with some bridges. In the bridges, you want to make sure your rib cage is on the mat. You've got a little bit of low back curve here, and your feet are fairly close into your body. Now that's going to put a lot of stretch on your quads. If it is hard on your knees, then you can take your feet a little farther away from your body. And then let's start with feeling underneath the rib cage in the soft areas, front and back. And make sure that as you breathe, you can feel some motion or some pressing into your hands, fingers and thumbs in all four quadrants, so that you're using your diaphragm fully and completely with each breath. Okay, you can put your hands back down. We'll just do a few lifts. And again, thinking about not doing through that full range of motion on the first repetition. Starting at about half of what you think you can do, and then easing into that full range of motion after a few different repetitions, and you feel how it feels. Just warming things up a little bit. As you go into a full range of motion, see how much of your spine you can comfortably lift off of the mat. All right, now let's transition into on our knees. If you have trouble with your knees and you don't like to be on your knees in this tall kneeling position, try a couple things. One, put a little extra cushion under your knees, and sometimes it makes a difference if your tops of your feet are on the ground or your toes are tucked under. I encourage you to try toes tucked under, because that's another important range of motion that we will sometimes lose as we wear shoes. Okay, if you really can't do that, well, you can achieve a similar range of motion by sitting on a step stool and then tucking the knees back. And we're going to go into what we call a half camel. So use your step stool or a chair, and we're just going to do a little reach. So you can reach back, touch your heel, touch your leg. If you can't quite reach that, then support yourself at your hip. Reaching back, getting into that little bit of additional spine extension. And it also asks the quads to the front of the thighs to warm up a little bit. Okay, our next movement, you can also do this sitting on your step stool, but we'll have one leg forward. I've got my right leg forward. I'm going to put the arms up, and we're just going to do some rotations. Now feel what's happening in your knee as you do this. You don't want that knee falling in as your upper body rotates in one direction. And then we'll let the arms come down, and then we'll rotate the other direction. Let the arms come down. Warming up the rotational part of the spine. Let's just do one more in each direction. Shoulders are soft. Okay, then we'll take that leg back and the left leg forward, arms up, and then rotate, paying attention to that knee, staying straight forward as you rotate. Let's do one more in each direction. Okay, let's switch the right leg back forward. And then we're going to keep the hips, try to keep the hips in place as you slowly sit back. So I don't want you to let them tuck. If you tuck, see how easy it is for me to straighten my knee. Keep the tailbone back, pointing away from you. And then leaning back, so we're pulling the front leg towards straight in order to get a stretch through the hamstrings. And then let's come forward and switch our legs out. So that's part of the exercise, incorporating that movement of switching back and forth. Again, let the hips go back to stretch the hamstring. For next movement, we'll need a step stool. If you don't have a step stool, you could use a yoga block. If you know you have some balance challenges, you might want to have your stick ready, or you can use a chair or a wall to support you. But we're going to just step over the step stool. Now, check and see. It's pretty easy to kind of cheat a little bit and let the foot go in front or in back. It's also a compensatory method to look down and see what your feet are doing. So slowly feel that you're grounding each foot each time you take a step over. We're not trying for speed. I want you to feel yourself put your weight back in your heels as you land on each side. Okay, if you don't need your stick, your pole, then you can put it down. Okay, we're going to go the opposite or a different direction. Let's say we're going to, again, try to look forward. You can look down the first few if you need to, or try to rely on your peripheral vision in order to assist you. Meaning you're still looking ahead, but you can see what's going on down there through that lower part of your visual field. And try to start your motion with the opposite foot. So I started with the right foot last time. Start with my left foot this time. And slow down. If you feel yourself losing control of that motion, slow it down. Okay. Let's go ahead and incorporate some narrow squats with a nice slow motion. So a narrow squat means your feet are going to be slightly more narrow than hip distance. And I'm just going to use my step stool as a target. But remember, we're still pretty much just warming up. So we're going to take it super gentle, about 50% of that range of motion to start with. If I'm just warming up, sometimes I'll just let my hands slide down my thighs. And then I'm slowly going to get lower. But notice the tailbone's going back, like I'm going to go ahead and sit down on that step stool. We don't want the knees going forward. Okay, just a warm up. All right, nice little warm up. Now we're gonna tuck and untuck. Think about the fingertips behind your head and the elbows open nice and wide. And as we're standing up straight and opening the elbows, we're really trying to round the spine, sticking the tailbone out and bringing the head back. And then we're going to make the opposite of that shape. So spread the shoulder blades wide, bring the elbows together and tuck the tailbone. And then open again, mindfully, so the tailbone comes back, the head comes back, the elbows go open, the shoulder blades come together. And then the opposite, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, move the elbows toward each other, spread the shoulder blades apart. Opening up. And closing. You should feel the weight in your heels during this motion the whole time. Now let's go into a hip hinge, but we're going to do an arm lift or a fly, as they might be called. So thinking about the weight in the heels, and then your hip is a hinge joint. So the tailbone's going to go back as the upper body comes forward. We want to get all the way down to as close of a hinge as we can. And the first thing we're going to do is think about the shoulder blades pulling towards each other, and then the shoulder blades coming apart. So I'm reaching down, even though my torso is not moving, I'm reaching down, and then I'm pulling back up. Reaching down and pulling back up. Reaching down, pulling back up. Okay, now we're gonna reach down, open up, down, pull back up. Down, lift, down, pull the shoulder blades back. Keeping the weight in the heel. Just slowly follow the motion. Up, down, lift, lower, up, down, lift, lower. Okay, then you can bend the knees and slowly bring yourself back up. All right, let's get into our core movements. All right, we're going to incorporate that narrow squat again, but this time we're going to do some reaching. So we're going to narrow squat and then reach up. And we're going to leave the arms up, and leaving the arms up asks us to really focus on keeping the upper body upright rather than letting it come down. We'll do a few of these and then we'll do some additions. Okay, this time as we come up, the right arm comes down and back up as we squat. And we're just going to alternate arms. So we're slowing down and we're thinking about the movement. Okay, we're going to change it up a little bit. This time as we come up, we're going to left leg, right arm, tap, and come back down. Opposite. Control the motion. Okay, we're going to change it again, just a little. And if you are having some balance issues, then you can continue with the toe tap. We're going to really slow it down, and we're going to not tap the toe and bring it back into the squat. Forces you to really slow down and use core to prevent the wobble. All right, nice, okay. Now if you like, you can find something that you can lift in order to do the fly exercise. You don't have to use any. I'm just gonna use a couple sets of my little therapy balls here. So again, we're going to hinge, really let the tailbone go out far behind you. You can keep a little gentle bend in the knees. The shoulder blades go, the arms go down, so the shoulder blades go apart. Up, down, up, down. Next time, let's add the lift. Up, down, lift, lower. Up, down, lift, lower. Weight in the heels. Toes are soft. Head and neck are relaxed. And you can do as many repetitions as sounds good to you. We've got about 10, 11 minutes left. All right. Okay, I'm going to put these down. Next, you can add we're going to do the bridge again. So let's come back down on the floor, and we're going to use a band for some resistance to our bridge. So we'll hold the band across the hips and hold on with both hands, and the feet are about hip distance apart, close to your body, and then we'll just press into that resistance. Nice and slow. Paying attention to as you get to the top, you're peeling as much of your spine off the mat as you can, and you're squeezing your glutes at the top. Slow lowering down as well. All right. Okay, we're going to try a slightly more challenging version of this. You can either try the leg extended or cross it across the knee. That'll shorten the lever, or you can keep both feet down. We're going to do about 5 with just the left foot down and the right crossed over. Okay, let's go to the other side. And we get a nice little bonus stretch. Let's go back to our step stool, and you can use your support stick here if you like. We'll do a step up and a step down. Again, we're not going to step over this time, a nice slow controlled step up. So we'll start with the right foot on the step stool, sort of lean the body into it, feel the weight in your heel, and then we'll slowly come up and we'll touch the heel and then slowly reach back down till you feel the heel. It's a slow, controlled on the way up and on the way down. Absolutely no reason to speed it up. However, you'll probably feel tempted to do so. As you come up, think about your right hip really grounding through all the way down through the heel. All right, let's switch to the other side. Okay, you're feeling that heel, you're leaning forward, coming up on the toes, and then touching the heel. Slow lowering down. Press up from the hip all the way down to the heel. If you start to feel like momentum's coming into play, then slow it down. If you feel like your step stool's too high, switch to a yoga block. All right, let a little momentum sneak in there. Okay, one more here. Okay, let's go back to our band. We'll do a standing fly. So take whatever resistance feels right to you. And then we're thinking about pulling the shoulder blades together. Shoulder blades come together as the band comes apart. And then you can even think about pulling it back just a little bit on the chest. Got just a few minutes left. Next, we'll want a weight or something that you can hold while we do the squats. It doesn't have to be a weight. It can be a yoga block. I think I'll use a yoga block today. So we're thinking about a wider squat this time. Remember, in our wider squat, the knee has to move in the direction the toes are pointing, and the tailbone is still going way out behind. So we're thinking about the weight, whatever we have in our hand, as going straight down. We're trying to keep the chest and the head up. We're pushing it up through the heels. The toes are relaxed and soft. Okay, next time as we come up, we're gonna move that weight around the circle and then alternate directions. You'll notice as you start to move that weight around that your core really has to turn on. I think I just went the same direction twice in a row. There. And the heavier your weight gets, the more you really need to slow down and focus. All right. Next, where's my other yoga block? Next, we'll do a wide squat with 2 weights. You can get something heavier. These are cork blocks, so they have some weight to them, more than a traditional foam yoga block. But I will occasionally use a 5-pound or 10-pound weight with these, depending on what I'm up to. So again, working on form, but a slightly wider, and weights. So this is really teaching us to slow down when we go to pick up grocery bags or suitcases or other items that we're going to carry somewhere, that we're thinking about slowing down, using good form with those daily activities as well. Okay, one more and then we'll cool down. So the last one is thinking about that idea of our spine flexing and extending again. And you can either try it in a down dog and a plank. I'll show that to you, or you can go to a wall where you down dog and plank. Down dog and plank. Let me do it over here. Down dog and plank. Down dog and plank. Or we can go to the ground and do it. So finding your down dog. And then to your plank. And stopping at the end. I didn't demonstrate that very well at the wall, but stopping at each pose, motion, and range so that you're moving with intent and purpose and not just wanging back and forth through the two motions. All right, then let's put the knees down and then we'll slowly lower ourselves all the way down to the mat and come up in the elbows. And let's just shift back and forth to stretch the tummy area out. Okay, and then we'll roll onto our back. We'll hug the knees in, do a little rocking back and forth. And this is definitely a less intense version of the full body workout with focus on control. So it's not quite as important to do a full cool down here, but just stretching your body in any way that it feels like it needs it in order for you to comfortably move back into your daily activities. So thank you for doing this gentler version of our full body workout with a focus on control. Thanks.